starting in a tall kneel, flex the neck and then move the chin to the chest and then over to the right shoulder and then to the left. Moving back to the right, you can add the chin drawing a circle, moving the circle as big as is as comfortable for your body. If that doesn't feel good, just stick with the chin going from shoulder to shoulder and then changing directions. Next, extend the arms out in front of you, just taking care to keep the spine neutral. Move the shoulder blades out in protraction and then squeeze them in into retraction, moving between those two a few times. Next, shrug the shoulders up into elevation and then down like you're sliding them into your back pockets into depression. And then we'll combine those four movements in a circle, moving backwards, and then circling forwards. Next, tuck the toes and sit back on the pelvis. If that's too much for your knees, you can put something between your calves and the backs of your thighs. Otherwise, we're going to flip between dorsiflexion and plantar flexion in the feet as we inhale, reach the arms up, and exhale, relax back down. Keep switching the position of the feet. Tuck the toes under again and come into a quadruped position. Rocking back, again moving the pelvis to the heels, getting a stretch into that plantar fascia. Cross the left leg over the right and the right leg over the left, getting massage into the calves and also working the feet again. If it feels comfortable for your knees, you can push back through into crisscross applesauce and come back and crossing the other side and moving back into that cross-legged position. Again, if that does not feel good, just stick with the first version. And I promise you, based on my face, I'm having more fun than shows in a video. Next, for wrist prep, moving through different surfaces so that we can get each part of the wrist to experience load and different angles. If this is too much, you can sit the pelvis back to the heels and then move through the same positions, but bearing less weight onto the hands. Next, stagger the arms and using the same positions, come into some mini push-ups. Anything is game here. And the left hand does not have to do what the right hand is doing. Awesome. Wrists under shoulders and knees under hips will come into flexion, and then slowly, starting from the pelvis, moving through the crown, moving one bone at a time into extension. Starting with the pelvis again, lifting up the front of the body and moving back into flexion. Walk the hands over to the right hand side, so we're laterally flexed, and same thing. Moving the body into extension and then back into flexion. Walk the hands over to the left. And repeat the same thing, really trying hard to notice what parts of your spine are moving well, which parts feel stuck, and then you can maybe give those a little bit of love later on. Contralateral stability in the lumbo-pelvic region and also turning on the core a little bit. So right hand lifts, left knee lifts, left hand lifts, right knee lifts, keeping the back of the pelvis level. Next, offering a little bit of resistance. Same thing, contralateral, and then pressing in and extending out, taking care that the limbs don't lift higher than the torso. Keep breathing here all around your spine, in whichever breathing pattern feels comfortable for you. Trying to do most of the work here through the nose as much as you can. So getting a good pause, connecting hand to thigh, and then reaching out. Trying to get longer than you are higher. Reset, and then we're coming into some hip cars. So come up into flexion first, out to external rotation, back into extension, and then reverse the movement. So you can see here that I'm tipping my pelvis a little bit to the opposite side. You can prevent yourself from doing that by putting a block, keep yourself honest. Then move into flexion here, tuck it in, and then tap the foot to the outside of the hand. Do that 3 times, and then place the foot to the outside of your hand. So you've got about a 45-degree angle of your thigh here, and then Tilt your pelvis back and then move in and out of that stretch a few times. Add a reach so we get the movement of the scapula on the rib cage. We don't want that to stay fixed. Pelvis tips back again, come to your tiptoe, and then try to hover that knee in without placing it down. Talking to that hip a little bit. This is great for your awareness and your body awareness of that region. Hip proprioception. Moving through our hip cars on the other side. Something I didn't mention is you could take a yoga tune-up ball, a tennis ball, or a small towel and try to squeeze it between your calf and your thigh, and then keep that posterior chain engaged as you move through these controlled articular rotations of the hip. Pull the knee in and move it into that dog going pee on the fire hydrant. External rotation, then place the foot momentarily to the outside of the left hand. Then place it down, moving into your diagonal lunge. Taking care here that the stretch is coming in the hip and the thigh and not from your spine that's overarching. Add your reach. Tuck the pelvis back again, come to the toes, and then try to balance on that right leg. Hovering for a moment, even though it's tough. Promise you I'm having fun. You can't tell by my face, but I am. Okay, come back to our quadruped position. Tuck the toes again, getting that stretch in the plantar fascia, and then push into the heel of the hands. Release the head down and then lift the knees up. You can keep doing that, keep moving back, stay there, or you can lift the hips up into more of that capital A or down dog position. Keep the knees bent and feel the length between the crown of the head and the tailbone. Hang out in your down dog, whatever it looks like, and pedal the feet, moving the hips from side to side, getting hopefully a nice stretch from the Achilles heel all the way up to the bottom of the pelvis. Keeping that pelvis level, moving into some thoracic rotation and active thread the needle, so reach the right arm up, thread it through without posing the outside of the arm down on the ground. Taking care to breathe and then switch sides. Notice the difference between the sides as you move through thoracic rotation. Oftentimes we're more comfortable opening up to one side than the other, which is fine. We're asymmetrical. That's okay. Come back to rest briefly in child's pose. Again, you can prop between your calves and the backs of your thighs and then stretch over to the right, breathing into your left ribs. Walk the hands over to the left. Shift your pelvis back to the heels. Breathe into those right ribs. Stack your hands and rest your head.